city, baby, I'm hot, light up a roller sun. With your left hand free and your right hand grip, with another left hand watches right hand slip. Schwartz is gone, gone, gone.
Going to be a Honda victory, but only just. Gordon Shedden wins. Matt Neal wins round 3 of the championship, but only just. Good getaway by Turkington. Colin Turkington wins round 5 of the championship. Andrew Jordan close enough to have a go. Yes, he is. Sam Tordoff, who leads the way. Sam Tordoff wins round 14. Plato blasts away from pole. A brilliant drive by Plato to take the win. Another fantastic weekend of racing at Rockingham in the Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship. And the championship title race continues to twist and turn. We came here with Jason Plato as the championship leader, Paul O'Neill. We leave with Gordon Shedden, only 6 points ahead in the title race. But think back 2 weekends to Snetterton, he had a torrid time. It shows how quickly it can all change.
Just sums up the championship, doesn't it? Gordon Shedden, like I said, a couple of years ago when he won the title, he had a disaster at Snetterton when the car was on fire. He had electrical gremlins earlier on that year in 2012. People were writing him off. He'd come back strong, and he's done it again. And he had 20-point lead after round 1 today, and then it's come down to -6 now. But that car he's got underneath him is unreal. And for me, I just think he's going to have the edge. But Jason Plato, you just can't discount him, can you?
We've said all year, though, Gordon seems to be driving better than ever. The moves he pulls are absolutely ruthless, but they're clean. You never feel as though the person he's going to try and get past is about to get knocked out of the way. He's fast, he's clean, he's ruthless, he gets through the traffic. Is he driving better than ever?
I think this is the best I've ever seen him drive. He drove fantastically in 2012. Yeah. He drove brilliantly in 2013. He was unlucky in 14, but now he is, for me, just the man. He is driving awesomely. Every move that he pulls is calculated and you never see him clumsy. It's absolutely awesome to watch.
And then you've got Jason, who didn't have a great weekend, and it all was triggered, I suppose, by the damage incurred in that first race. But actually, to go away from here, only 6 points back, I mean, that's nothing with 6 races still to go.
He would never have envisaged this at all after round 1, after having that contact, the damage. But he knew what he had to do. You know, the new regulations, he's just all over the new regulations. Knew he had to get a lap time in for race 2, did that. Knew he had to be somewhere for the reverse grid, did that. Knew he had to win the race, did that. You just cannot, put the mockers on him. He is unbelievable, and we are so lucky that we get to see this kind of driving from fantastic people, I think.
A win in race 3 for Jason Plato, a win earlier on in the day for Gordon Shedden, and a win for Matt Jackson with the new Mountune-built engine in the Ford Focus. And some great racing along the way. Let's have a look at the best bits of our weekend at Rockingham.
We're gonna separate ourselves tonight. We're always running scared but holding knives. But there's a black chandelier. It's casting shadows and lights. We're gonna separate ourselves tonight. We're always running scared but holding knives. But there's a black chandelier.
If you were passing any pub in the northwest of England after Rockingham, you will have heard, no doubt, of a vast party going on. To join in, you'd need the constitution of an alcoholic ox, because it was to celebrate Speedworks Motorsport's first podium. Team owner Christian Dick is a delighted man, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty speechless. It's just been such a long time coming. It's been such a lot of work. And like you say, we'll celebrate hard after this.
How hard has it been? Because it's not just the journey to get a podium in the championship, it's also from where you've come through club racing and building and growing at the same time.
Yeah, we come from very humble beginnings, as you know, and worked damn hard for it. And when we got the opportunity to join the grid, obviously we grasped it with both hands, and the hope was that one day we'd be able to build it into a podium finish, and hopefully for the future a race-winning outfit and maybe championship winning in the future. But I can't even begin to explain the amount of people that have been involved and the amount of work that's gone into getting us to this stage, and it's a lift that they all thoroughly deserve, really do.
People must look at this from the outside and think, well, it can't be that difficult a job running a touring car team, but you've got
Exactly. You've got all that trouble during the winter of finding drivers, finding budgets, going testing, and then each race weekend starts days before the cars hit the track and coming to set up. Talk us through just what you have to do to run a team week after week.
Exactly like you say, you don't know from one year to the next exactly what you're going to have in terms of budget to spend, who your driver is going to be. Obviously, we've got a great relationship with Tom, and long may that continue. And likewise with the sponsors, we've got some great help. We've had some long-term help from Hughes Safety Showers, Hansford Sensors, lots of them that have made this possible. And it's a constant thing. You're constantly trying to grow your budget because you need more development, you need more track time. So that's one of the primary things that you're working on, or I'm working on all the time, is to try and find that. The team, like you say, they're flat out relentlessly. We're a small team, a small group of people that are trying to get these cars ready, or in particular Tom's car ready for a race weekend. We'll traditionally do a shakedown on a Wednesday, load the trucks and head off to the circuit on a Wednesday evening, arrive there Wednesday night, Thursday morning you're straight into setting the garages up. It goes on and on. The amount of work from everybody, not just the guys that are spannering the cars, but the amount of people that come, the weekend warriors that come to help us set up and pull down, support staff in the hospitality, and getting all of that organised. And it brings me on to another point that's really important. My wife, who plays a massive role in all of that organisation, because as you'll know very well, I'm not very good at organising myself, let alone a team of people, hasn't been able to be here today. So she's missed, after 5 long years of Btcc, or close to 5 long years, she's missed out on being here. Which I know she's very upset about, and I'm gutted that she couldn't share it with us, but there'll be lots more.
But if she stays away more often,
I'll let you bring that point up with her. What we'll do is we'll gauge it. When we go to Silverstone, if we have a shocker and she's there, you won't see her at Brands.
you used to race yourself. You still do occasionally. You've won GT titles, for example. There must be times when you're standing in the garage looking at a car with a problem, or wondering where you can find that next couple of tenths of a second, thinking, I just want to go back to being a driver. That was far less hassle than running a team. What's the motivation to do all this?
I think the motivation is your role changes, life changes. So for me, the opportunities to drive were getting less. My ability to do it to the level that I wanted to do it was slipping away. And I had an incident on track just over 12 months ago, 18 months ago maybe now, that stopped me getting back in the car for 12 months. So I don't really get that urge to get back in a car anymore. It isn't really there, not right now anyway. Maybe it'll come back in the future. What's the motivation? This is the motivation, to try and get to the podium, to try and win the races. We've still got to win a race, and we've proved, I think, today beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's there, it's coming.
During the race, Tim Harvey and I were talking obviously about Tom and his performance of keeping Jason at bay, fighting back, retaking the lead. Tim made the point that you can see in a race the making of a driver. I would suggest as well we saw today the making of a team, because you've proved to everybody up and down this pit lane, we can do this, we belong here, we belong at the front. Yeah,
I genuinely believe that, and I think one thing that you've got to remember is when we've had similar opportunities in the past, not the same because we've not been at this stage, but similar opportunities, I think we've been a little bit guilty. I've been a little bit guilty of being a little bit too conservative with how we've run the car. We've got a lot more people on board helping with all of that kind of stuff now, and I think we've hit the nail on the head this weekend. The whole weekend has been strong performance. So yeah, we're happy.
In race 3, Aidan Moffat was going until he was stopped by Hunter Abbott up at the Dean hairpin. It's time for Crash of the Week.
Down the inside comes Cook. Gets up the inside of Jackson, and a spin because Moffat gets hit by Hunter Abbott. By the look of it, off they have both gone.
Motorbase Performance may have had to miss the first half of the championship season, but on its return, it has certainly made an impact. The new Mountune built engine has certainly been a major factor in that, and earlier on in the weekend, Paul O'Neill caught up with team principal David Bartram and driver Matt Jackson to discuss life at Motorbase.
I'm here with David Bartram and Matt Jackson. They've just come off the back of a fantastic win here at Rockingham in the first race. How's that for you? It's been hard and long winter.
It's great, fantastic. Long winter. You know, a lot of disappointment not starting the season, and to be here today and sort of get what I want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want, 2 become 1. It was all today. And I just think that, you know, it was a great day. So to get the pole yesterday was our first Saturday pole, and then to go into today and win the race as well, it's really nice. It sort of vindicates the work we've done over the winter. Going forward, it'll be really good.
You don't sing as well as my sister, but can you pick up the sponsors now that you've got the car on the front row, you've polled, you've won? What can you do?
I hope so. I mean, we came back to prove the car, we came back to prove the team and what we've done with the car, and hopefully we'll stir the interest. It's very difficult commercially nowadays, and you have to really be on it. If we'd have gone away and missed the season, it would have put us so far on the back foot. But having said that, coming back mid-season, coming into the middle of it all, you really do find out people have moved on, and you have to do a bit of an adjustment. And it was a bit of a wake-up call at Snetterton. And we came away from that, thought long and hard, and thought best thing to do is send me to Snetterton with GTs and not let me go to Scotland, and they'll get some results. And that's what happened.
And it was a fantastic result, Matt, wasn't it? And we were looking at that front right tyre on the car, mate. That looked absolutely horrendous. I mean, you had to go around turn one flat out. At what speed would that have been?
Pretty quick. Obviously, we did 16 laps. It was good for 15. So yeah, I mean, we could smell it. We could smell the rubber burning in the car, and sort of 2 laps from the end, we got enough of a gap on shed, so we just backed it off a little bit. But yeah, I mean, obviously luck's on our side so far.
Front row for the next one. What do you do with the car with the extra ballast in? It's gonna cripple it, isn't it? Do you back the cambers off? Do you soften it? What do you do?
I don't know.
That's the whole point.
Obviously,
we don't know.
We don't know because this is all new to us. So where the other boys found out at the first round at Brands, we're finding out now. So it is a big test, but we'll give it our best. We'll be in the mix and causing some trouble.
I think it's over to Piers Phillips, because if he's had 4 years of Plato before getting with us a few years ago, having 4 years with Jason as an engineer, change you for anything. And I've never heard so much crap come out of someone as I do out of Piers, so he'll come up with some idea that will convince me and Matt it's the way to go. And, that's what will happen. Piers the Great will come out and solve all the problems.
Engineers and people like that are always the best people to speak to, aren't they? But on the Jason Plato note, he's obviously was leading the championship. Yeah. Do you struggle with what people are saying around the pit lane about coming in and you're taking points off people with no weight at the beginning of the weekend? I don't think that's fair.
Rubbish. At the end of the day, there's a load more people out there can take points, and let's face it, we've let them off the hook. This car's that good, we'd have been leading the championship. So whether that's cocky or not, I don't know. We can say that because we're standing here in the middle of the season, but I think we've done them all a favour. So that's the positive. We've let them off.
I'll go with you on that, fella. But Matt, from a driver's point of view, do you race differently, or do you just go as if it's the start of the season, don't care?
Well, we've got to race. We're here to race, and that's when you fill the entry form in at the start of the year, it's a race, and we're here to race. And unfortunately, some of the guys probably feel that we shouldn't be there, but we've got a package together, and we've got as much right to be here as anybody else in theory. We're, like David says, there's lots of guys out there that can take points off them that have got more or less points than us in the championship. It's just that we're at the right end. Obviously the last thing we want to do is get stuck into their championship and cause them any DNFs, and maybe that's a different thing. But we've been in this championship for 7 years. 8 years now, 9 years. That's why you're so great.
9.5 by the end of this year. Not many people do 9.5.
We're here, and we've been here for many years. We've run at the top, in the top three in the championship, and we want to come here and win. That's what we're here for.
And people know who you are. And the next question to ask you is about the Young Driver Initiative that Motorbase run. It's a fantastic thing.
And just one thing, did you bring the little Union Jack dress with you? Because he's got to wear that for the next race. Because when you get a win, you have to wear that. Did you get it off your sister? Can you get it off a mate?
I would quite happily, but we'd have to spray his hair ginger.
That's no problem. We'd do that. We've got an aerosol out the back. Anyway, back to reality. The Dunlop.
I'd actually like to see you wearing it. Now that's got to be one, isn't it?
Not enough lycra. Anyway, David, back to the question.
You win 3 races in one day and I'll wear it. It'll have to be a big Union Jack though. It'll be a big Union Jack. Sorry, you were more serious stuff. What was it?
It was about the Young Driver Initiative.
Yep. The Young Driver thing. It's something we do with Dunlop. Dunlop are the series sponsor, and they're the tyre manufacturer for the series. Mickey Butler at Dunlop came to me a couple of years ago, and we've done 2 years now previous, where they take guys that have placed or won their championship on the Dunlop products. We take them to Snetterton and we put them through the paces at the touring car at the end of the season. I think it's great. I mean, Mike Bushell was one of the guys last year. He's now in a touring car and he's in a Ford as well. We've done it with Jay Kruger, we've done it with Dan Camish, and we've done it with Jack Mitchell. And I think it's great that Dunlop help us to do that, because if you don't nurture young talent going forward, we've got no Paul O'Neills, we've got no new ones coming through. So, we need some very, very talented Liverpudlian drivers, and obviously the Dunlop system is helping us to get that.
Excellent. Well, you got James Cole, and he's a proper Scouser.
I was getting to that next. It's quite good because Crystal Palace played Liverpool, and that's. I mean, we like to beat Liverpool if we can, obviously, and they have to suffer. There's many donuts have to be built at losses. So when that game comes around, I expect to get fatter.
Awesome. Well, as usual, thank you, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure. But yeah, good luck for the rest of the weekend.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
One of the dream jobs, perhaps, for a touring car fan is to be a reporter on the Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship for one of the weekly motorsport magazines. Is it really a dream job? At Knock Hill, we caught up with Matt James from Motorsport News to find out what the job entails. I say it's a doddle, your job. I mean, it must be, because you just have to sit and watch the TV, or you can go out on the bank and really enjoy yourself. That's not working, is it?
Oh, you forgot the free lunches. I get some of those as well when you're in the build up there. But it is good. But at the end of a race day like we've had here at Knock Hill, it's been superb. There's been, 29, 28 drivers in each race, 3 races. So that's 90 different stories possibly that you've got to go and find. And you can only find them at the end of the day when everything's settled down. So as much as everyone clocks off when the checkered flag falls, I clock on and have to start working and do all my reporting. So I'll probably be here till midnight tonight, and it also doesn't help when there's judicial reviews and penalties being dished out after the race is finished. So even I don't know the result of race 3 yet, and I won't find that out till later on. So,
and you also have to try and cram all this into a word count. So there's all bits of action that sometimes you won't be able to report on because there's so much you've got to cram in.
I put that skill and experience, David, just makes that bit's a doddle. No, it is hard. You have to kind of pick out the highlights, and obviously everybody's watched the coverage on ITV, and so when I go to press, which is later in the week, you have to try and get the stories that aren't immediately apparent and get a little bit underneath the skin. So that does make it a little bit harder, but all the more enjoyable for it.
How do you actually approach a working day? I use working in a loose sense here, of course. So it starts with coffee and lots of free breakfast, and then you head off to your laptop. But how do you watch the races? I mean, do you stay near television pictures? Do you go out and watch the cars trackside? And in terms of note-taking, where do we go from here? Is it, every lap? Is it significant things? How do you do it?
I'm old school, so I do lap chart every lap, but I like to sit near a timing screen. So usually that will be either in the pit lane or in the media room. And you get a lot of extra information because there's a lot of sort of media people there, PR from different teams that you can pick up information from. So that's useful for me. But the course of a weekend, Saturdays are usually spent picking up gossip from the pit lane. You can walk around because there's not that much to actually report on immediately, chat to people, find out what's going on behind the scenes, so you get a rough idea of what's happening on the Saturday, and then sometimes it plays out on the Sunday and sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, there's a lot of different components to what I do.
Is it hard staying friends with some drivers? Because you, like us, in terms of talking about the race at the time, you've got to be objective. It is hard sometimes not to make friends with drivers, and it's also hard sometimes perhaps to condemn without affecting a friendship or a relationship you've just built up.
I do sometimes. There are certain drivers I get on better with others, and that's the same in any walk of life. If you go into an office, there'll be some people you get on better with and some people you don't. But I generally tend to find I'm actually more honest and more harsh with the drivers that I'm close to, because I learn more about them. They tell me more about their weekends, whereas some drivers will keep some secrets. If they're friends of mine, they basically tell me everything. Then that'll chuck it in print and see what happens afterwards.
The championship rocked this weekend, and the championship battle has taken another fascinating turn. We've got 2 more weekends to go, the Silverstone and there's Brands Hatch. Well, Gordon Shedden is the man who leads the championship. He's got a 6-point advantage over Jason Plato. That in itself is one story, Paul, but we've had other real heroes of the weekend. Let's start with Tom Ingram and Speedworks, Christian Dick's team, because there was a tremendous reception for a great drive by Tom, the real underdog of the race and a real underdog team, to get collectively the best ever result.
No, it was amazing, absolutely amazing. He led that race for so long. He could have just sat there and had, a podium, but he went back for the lead. Yeah. He was unbelievable. I can't tell you how hard they work. We know them quite well. They're from our area, but I've been involved in that team. I know Tom really well. And there's no other person, except probably for Jack Goff and a few others, that work so hard, and it means so much. And you've seen the video of him at the end, was unbelievable. His family are lovely. They're just normal people. And for him to do what he did against the best, in the country, I thought was fantastic.
I mean, there's Tom as a driver, proving that he deserves to be here. The Speedworks as a team. And what a day the team has had, because it's been a class-winning team in the 24-hour series and now a podium finisher in the Btcc. The next question really is whether they'll be sober for Silverstone.
Probably not, knowing Christian and Amy. Amy's one of the most impressive drinkers I've ever seen, to be fair to him. And Christian, well, I've seen a few parties he's been to. They know how to party, but they've had a great weekend over in Barcelona, like you say. They've won the 24-hour series in their class. Tom's done them the world of good here. And it's all starting to gel now, because that car's completely brand new. Jeff Kingston was brought on board. They spent big to get these people in, and they haven't got the money, and they've done ever so well.
somebody else who knows how to celebrate is David Bartram. Now, of course, he wasn't even here for the first half of the season. They were off doing GT and trying to get a budget together, a deal together to come and be on the grid for the Btcc. And at Snetterton, you sort of thought, that's a bit so what. But Knock Hill and here with a race win for Matt Jackson, it makes you wonder what the championship would be like in terms of points and the driver standings if Matt Jackson had been on the grid all year long.
Yeah, and I think the thing to take from that is what you just said about Snetterton. They weren't. It was because of the weight they had. You know, they started with a lot of weight because of the rules, so it wasn't really a fantastic weekend for them. But when they got to Knock Hill, that car shone. But when it got here, I wasn't surprised to see it on pole and take a win. I was surprised to see how well it took the ballast and then finished in the second race, which was very, very good. Matt Jackson, I reckon you would have been looking at maybe a title push from him, because that car now with that new engine is stunning.
And in fairness, for years, David Bartram and Ollie Collins, the team manager, have said, we can win races, we can win championships. But there's always been something for the last, 2.5 years that you've just not found within that whole package. Now, everything's unlocked, it's a new engine, it's all working. If only they'd been here all year.
Well, hopefully, I think they'll build on this. They've got more sponsors after qualifying at Rockingham, so hopefully that works for them. But they are definitely a team to watch for next year if they're about. And Matt Jackson, he is one of the best drivers out there.
Who are the other heroes of the weekend? Because we've had lots of stories. 30 cars have been on the grid. We've had a lot to talk about. Who else has stood out for you?
Josh Cook. I thought Josh Cook was outstanding today. From the word go, he was fast. But what was really surprising for me was, he had that podium. He needed to make that move at the last chicane at Dean, and he went around the outside of probably one of the cars that's got the best chassis at the minute. I could not believe my eyes when he did that, and it was great to see. He's definitely an old head on young shoulders. He is unbelievable, that guy. Watch out for him.
BMW. Now, last year, perhaps you could argue, thanks to Colin Turkington, or the fact that the rules have been tweaked a bit since then, a good weekend. Here, BMWs have had a pretty lousy time, and Sam Tordoff, I fear, is now a bit too far back to still be in with a shout for the championship. What do you think?
Definitely, I think it's gone now. They won't be massively competitive at Silverstone. This isn't a really strong track. I just think they had the Colin Turkington factor here last year, which I'm sure you agree with. The other thing for me is, I spoke to a couple of their engineers, and they were testing all weekend here, as in they were just making the car softer and softer. They had big problems. Nick Foster turned up. He had a right front tyre that was down to the canvas on a rear-wheel drive car. So, not great things here. The regulations haven't helped them. They've changed everything around. But I think here, because of the surface and the abrasiveness, it's just shown them up a bit.
The story, then, has got 2 more chapters still to be written. The first is going to be at Silverstone the weekend of the 27th and 28th of September. Qualifying is going to be online on ITV.com on the Saturday afternoon, and then a full day of racing on ITV4. Join us for that. Otherwise, we'll send the Scouser around.